Intro, dramatic hook. January 3, 2026, in the dead of night, the world woke up to a jaw-dropping announcement. The United States, in a stunning and controversial overnight military operation, captured Venezuela's president, Nicolas Maduro, along with his wife, Cilia Flores, and flew them out of the country to face criminal charges in New York. What seemed impossible just months ago has now reshaped global politics and plunged the Western Hemisphere into a crisis with legacy-level implications. Reuters +1. But how did this all unfold? What's still unknown? And how might this moment echo across Latin America and beyond? The main story, timeline and ground reality. Just after 2 a.m. local time in Caracas, explosions rocked the Venezuelan capital. Witnesses reported low-flying aircraft, deafening blasts, and smoke rising above military installations. Within hours, U.S. President Donald Trump confirmed what many had feared and speculated about for months. Elite U.S. forces had launched a large-scale strike inside Venezuela, overwhelmed defenses, and captured Maduro and Flores, transporting them to the U.S. to answer decades-old drug trafficking and narco-terrorism indictments. Wikipedia. The operation was swift, shocking, and sharply contentious. Venezuelan officials condemned it as a blatant violation of sovereignty, with Vice President Delcy Rodriguez demanding immediate proof of life. Meanwhile, Trump declared the mission a success, with U.S. forces now positioned to influence Venezuela's oil-rich future and alleged criminal nexus. Reuters. On the ground, scenes were chaotic. Venezuelan state media initially buzzed with confusion, some areas reporting calm, others under heightened military patrol. Across the region, neighboring nations watched with alarm and curiosity, unsure whether this marked the dawn of a new era or the prelude to wider instability. Los Angeles Times. Public and international reactions. Reactions around the globe came fast and charged. In Havana, Cuba held a national mourning for 32 of its soldiers killed during the strike, a stark symbol of the operation's deadly cost and the broader geopolitical stakes. Reuters. World leaders issued a mix of condemnations and cautious statements. Some called the strike an illegal act of aggression that threatened regional peace. Others acknowledged Maduro's long-standing domestic and international controversies but questioned the legality of his capture without regional consensus or UN backing. Global Times. Across social platforms and public squares, reactions ranged from celebration to outrage. Supporters of the raid framed it as a victory against corruption and narco networks. Critics warned that the U.S. had crossed a red line by militarily detaining a sitting head of state. This was not just a political flashpoint, it was a cultural and ideological rupture felt in capitals from Bogotá to Beijing. Reuters. Emotional moments, human impact. But behind the geopolitics, there were real human stories. Venezuelan families torn between relief and fear, Cuban mourners grieving soldiers far from home, and immigrants in the United States watching anxiously as deportation flights resumed after a brief pause. AP News. And in Brooklyn, New York, Maduro and Flores appeared in court in January, pleading not guilty to the charges they now face, a surreal and visceral scene that few thought possible just weeks earlier. Wikipedia. Conclusion. Big picture and what's next. This operation was more than a military strike, it was a disruption to decades of status quo. It raises questions about international law, national sovereignty, and the limits of American power. It also leaves an open question: what comes next? Will Venezuela stabilize under the interim leadership of Delcy Rodriguez and U.S. diplomatic pressure? Will Latin American nations resist or realign? And could this moment redraw the chessboard of global alliances? One thing is certain: this chapter is far from